Let's watch Little Rhonda take on the big Mickey Mouse. Little Rhonda losing out to Mickey Mouse. Little Rhonda's got Mickey Mouse rings. Not real, folks. Bye-bye.
Developments in the fight between Disney and the state of Florida. The Walt Disney Company has now filed a lawsuit against the state, saying a targeted campaign of government retaliation orchestrated by Governor Ron DeSantis was used as punishment for Disney's protected speech. The lawsuit says recent legislation threatens Disney's business operations, jeopardizes its economic future in the region, and violates its constitutional rights. And this all comes as the new state-appointed board meets today. News 6's Lauren Cervantes joins us now live with more on what's happened so far. Lauren.
Well, the board voted today on a number of things. The first declaring the deal that the former board struck with Disney null and void. They also passed two resolutions with a unanimous vote. The first is a superior authority resolution, giving the new board authority over the entire district, including over things like planning, zoning, land development. And that control would also include within the jurisdictional limits of the cities of Lake Buena Vista and Bay Lake. Now, the other resolution that they adopted prohibits COVID-19 restrictions or mandates by businesses within the district. But before the votes, board members heard from business owners, a couple of them from Disney Springs, asking for an open dialogue and expressing concerns over higher taxes that could potentially come.
There were a lot of functions that this board did that were not according to Florida law. They were not.
It's like weird because like I'm gonna let them fight pattern here because like one is a major conglomerate, like, you know, international brand, awful IP retainers, you know what I mean? Like they're fucking dog shit. And then the other is like idiotic reactionary Governor Ron DeSantis, who's just trying to make a name for himself in the national stage, only to get absolutely cumstered and dumpstered by Donald Trump when he inevitably goes up against him. So it's awesome, you know, like I'll sit back and fight, watch them fight. I don't think Ron DeSantis has any energy, any momentum, or any like legal grounds to fucking eviscerate Disney in this way, because this entire government was built. This entire government, all the way down to like local governments, was built with protecting corporate interests in mind. So, you know, go after him if you want. Go after Disney, Ron, but Mickey Mouse is going to fuck you up, you know?
Not functioning under best practices, and we've got to bring those transparency and accountability for the benefit of all of you and to be in compliance with Florida law.
We're going to have more from the business owners this afternoon. As for the votes themselves, they actually passed fairly quickly without discussion. For now,
like I want government to regulate big corporations. So like, even if Ron DeSantis is doing this with like the worst intentions in mind and doing it purely out of spite, maybe it could set like, you know, decent precedent. I just don't believe it would though. Because, you know, let's be fucking real. There's no way he's going to be able to fucking shit on Disney, you know? I just don't see it. You know, corporate power is way too awesome in this country that is designed to protect corporate power. Like at the top of the hour, you have one level of restitution. You know what I mean? There's a 3-minute ad break, and there's something you can do to combat it, right? But even then, you're like giving money to the corporation. You can subscribe for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime. You can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. You know, but ultimately the top of the hour comes for all. At HasanAbi, too political, unsubscribing. Psychedelic Gazelle, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. My funds better go to Kaya's existence. Well, I mean, I don't really have any other expenses, so your proceeds are going to the Kaya Food Fund, and the Kaya shit on another fucking new bed I got for her fund. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
County, I'm Lauren Cervantes, getting results, News 6.
Welcome back. Data download time. The feud between Ron DeSantis and Disney escalated yet again this week when the Florida governor proposed developing land near the amusement park into a state park, or even more snarkily, he suggested a state prison. It was the latest volley in a battle that began last year when Disney executive...
What the fuck? That's nasty as shit. What? Okay. See, this is what I fucking mean. Like, making it a state park is fine. But, like, I didn't know that he wanted to turn it into a fucking state prison, dude. That's so fucking annoying, dude. Okay, Mr. Guantanamo, tell us more about your incredible ideas.
Criticized DeSantis' parental rights in education bill. It was dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill by many opponents. But it has turned into somewhat of an all-out personal feud between a sitting governor and a business that is very crucial to much of the state's economy. Let me just show you how important Disney is to the state of Florida. This is Disney's annual visitors to the Disney World amusement parks, over 36 million people in 2021. And just so you know, that's actually kind of low right now. Pre-pandemic, close to 60 million visitors. Just, you know, it works out to about 1 in 5 of all Americans, though, of course, there's some global visitors there. How about in tax revenue that Disney World generates? Well, Disney itself claims they collected over $1 billion in taxes in the calendar year 2022. That amount of money is more than the entire budget for many of Florida's state agencies. That's how crucial this is to the state of Florida. Let me go to a number of employees. It's the second largest private employer, over 75,000. This is Central Florida's economy, if you will. 75,000 people employed at Disney World. The only private company to employ more people in the state of Florida is the Publix grocery store chain. And then there's just the overall economic impact that it does for the entire Central Florida region. One estimate by Oxford Economics put it at over $75 billion in economic impact to the state of Florida thanks to Disney World. This isn't just a mouse that roars. Politically, it could become a mouse that bites as well.
Like, this is why I'm saying it's like weird. You have like a behemoth corporation, and like, of course, neoliberal mainstream media is going to turn around and like suck off the behemoth mega corporation as hard as they can, as they are currently. You know what I mean? But like, Disney has awesome powers in the state of Florida. Awesome powers. So I don't want them to dominate the state of Florida, but I also know that like Ron DeSantis is not like legitimately fighting against Disney for any sort of real reason. I wonder if there's, yeah, he's not even doing this because of Don't Say Gay. He's basically doing this because like Don't Say Gay is the sentiment behind why he's doing it, but it's actually just for Ron DeSantis to boost his national prominence by going up against like a corporation that the national Republicans, not even the National Republican Party, but like basically extremely online Republicans and the Republican media apparatus is considered to be woke. That's it. So it's really, really, really fucking stupid. It's like a battle being fought on the dumbest. Disney is alleging that their loss of special status is part of the political push by DeSantis. It's like weird because Ron DeSantis is doing this for like vice signaling and for clout purposes, but there is a legitimate reason to like undermine the power and authority that Disney has over this fucking state in general. It's such a weird situation, but Ron DeSantis basically did the dumbest thing he possibly could, which is stupid idiot. Culture wars are supposed to be a distraction from like a distraction that allows you not to engage in any sort of like, you know, material change, you fucking dumbass. You're not supposed to take the culture war narrative to a point where you actually have to do material change, you absolute fucking dumbass. That's why the Republican Party very quietly backed away from shitting on Anheuser-Busch at the national level, even though the Republican media influencers were like still ripping into Anheuser-Busch for the Dylan Mulvaney thing. You know what I mean? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, here it is. Okay. You want to know why they quietly backed away from attacking Bud Light? Because it's his own major mega donor. The NRCC put out and then swiftly deleted a direct attack on Bud Light, whose parent company donated nearly $500,000 to its candidates in the most recent campaign cycle. They tweeted it and immediately took it down. You're not supposed to bite the hand that feeds you, you fucking idiot. Culture war is culture war. You're not, like, the main purpose of culture war stuff like this is to quite literally reignite some idiotic wedge issue, some fight that like doesn't need to be had, so that you don't have to do anything serious. Okay, so you don't actually have to enact any sort of material change. You don't actually like, you know, genuinely attack corporations. Okay? You're stupid. So when you bite the hand that feeds and you actually start attacking the corporations, you forget that like the main reason for why the culture war was happening is to allow companies like Disney to do whatever the fuck they want, to have their own fiefdom. You know what I mean? It's so that you deregulate the beverage industry, so that Anheuser InBev Busch can basically have full control over the alcohol market, like for, you know, everything outside of like wine and spirits. That's the entire reason why they give your party $500,000 in one election cycle. You know what I mean?
We have this breaking news. The Walt Disney Company has sued Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, slamming what it calls his, quote, relentless campaign to weaponize.
If one more person says Erdogan's in the fucking hospital, I'm just gonna end the broadcast and check into a hospital for myself, okay? I am going to go insane. I'm going to reopen the insane asylums that Ronald Reagan closed so I could fucking be in a padded cell, because I'm about to lose my goddamn mind. Erdogan, you don't know that. You saw one random fucking blue checkmark guy on Twitter say that, and you just, you know, you're just excited. Like, what says this is a real news story to you? Is it Spriter99880 saying Erdogan is reported to have suffered a myocardial infarction? The Turkish president has been hospitalized. Infarction. Like, shut up, please stop. It's wishful thinking. You're getting sucked into the same old narratives over and over again. It's just like you want it to be true, so you're like, oh, look at this, it's true. You know what I mean? Oh, but Putin shit his pants. That source was legit. Yeah, dude, he did. He really did. Okay, got it.
Government power. Let's bring in Washington Post Deputy National Editor Phil Rucker, co-author of the books A Very Stable Genius and
Infarction is correct. F off, chat. Infarction is correct, except he didn't have a fucking myocardial infarction. He did not have a fucking heart attack. Okay? It doesn't matter if the terminology is correct and it sounds like fart, haha, lol. Okay? It's a funny word, and the term is correct. It's just incorrect to apply in this circumstance because, like, that didn't happen.
Alone can fix it. So, Phil, Disney alleging a targeted campaign of government retaliation in Florida. Is it good business to go after the biggest employer in your state? People have been asking that question.
Like, I hate this. MSNBC being like, oh, man, wow, like, you really shouldn't go after a mega corporation. Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this is supposed to be the leftmost, this is supposed to be the leftmost, mainstream media outlet.
Or is it good politics even? Phil?
Yeah, Andrea, well, the Disney company, their main theme park, Disney World, of course, is in Orlando, Florida. It employs 75,000 people there. It is a massive employer and economic engine for the state of Florida. And this has been a long-running feud between the company and the governor, DeSantis.
I'm super confused. Are you pro or against the Disney lawsuit? I'm pro let them fight. Like, fuck Ron DeSantis, who is a fucking uncharismatic shit stain, okay? He just absolutely fucking sucks. And he's doing this for clout purposes, and he's an idiot, and he's going to get his shit pushed in. But also, motherfuck Disney, okay? I don't give a fuck how Mickey Mouse makes you feel. I don't care how you feel about Disneyland. I don't care how you feel about Disney World. Disney is an awful fucking company that has been a rigorous defender of patent laws that have been super damaging for artistic integrity, for creative endeavors in general. It's really awful. Disney is a mega corporation that like basically created legal corporate towns originally and like has its own fucking fiefdom. You know what I mean?
DeSantis signed into law last year that education bill known as Don't Say Gay, which Disney opposed.
And they're like having this fight over the dumbest thing. They have this fight over the dumbest thing possible, which is like Disney lightly saying like, yeah, we oppose the Don't Say Gay bill. And then Ron DeSantis is like losing his mind and thinking he could take on this like mega corporation. And now the media is basically siding. The media is basically fucking siding with the Disney in general and saying like, how dare Ron DeSantis go after them?
Because of pressure from its employees and customers, and things escalated from there. And so DeSantis and Republicans in the state legislature of Florida have tried to chip away at Disney's special status in the state, their control of some land there, their tax status. This has been an ongoing source of tension between the company and the governor. And then just now we've learned that the company is in fact suing the governor of Florida.
And part of this is because they restructured the commission or the entity that gave special tax status or continued the special tax status to Disney. And Disney did an end run and managed to hold a vote before that change took place and to enable a new development. So now they're saying that they spent a lot of money on the plans for this development that they can't recoup if they're not allowed to do it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Disney for years has had.
It's like both sides of this equation are demons in their own right, and both sides are like greatly abusing the power that they have. Here, on Wednesday, a board appointed by Mr. DeSantis to oversee the government services at Disney World voted to nullify 2 agreements that gave Disney vast control over expansion of the 25,000-acre resort complex. Within minutes, Disney sued Mr. DeSantis, the 5-member board, and other state officials in federal court, claiming a targeted campaign of government retaliation, which, ironically, because of the way Ron DeSantis has been waging this war against Disney, they actually do have legal grounds to sue over. And the American federal court system, the American judicial process, is like incredibly favorable to corporations, and will consider this to be like massive state overreach, even if Ron DeSantis wasn't doing it with the express purpose of doing government retaliation against a major company in their fucking state. So it's like, it's so fucked up. It's almost like, if I was a conspiratorial minded person, I'd be like, Ron DeSantis is doing this so they can set a fucking legal precedent that will absolutely eviscerate any matter of like legal protections that states have within their purview, within their legal purview to like actually control, major corporations, all the way down to like what they can do with public property, all the way down to like selling of any kind of property and controlling whatever the fuck they can do with like acres and acres of land at the federal level, like set legal precedents for them. Obviously, I don't think that's the reason. I think it's way, way, way dumber than that. Okay. I think that, Ron DeSantis is a fucking idiot. And he's doing like culture war shit against Disney. And Disney's like, what do you mean, brother? Like, you forgot that just because you're a Republican doesn't change the reality that this country was designed by fucking, monkeys like you to basically give us full-blown protection against any kind of state, any kind of state action. Like, we are private enterprise. We are commerce. We are industry leaders. We will destroy you.
Had a real special status in the state of Florida and operated with a lot of autonomy over the land of the theme park in Orlando and that surrounding jurisdiction. And so DeSantis has tried to take that autonomy away, to lessen the power of Disney to control the land that it develops and its tax status. And, Disney is alleging that this is all part of a concerted political push by DeSantis. And in fact, DeSantis has used his feud with Disney as a rallying cry for conservatives around the country, for social conservative voters who form a...
You literally cannot, as a council, vote down a development project unless it violates a contract or your zoning laws. It's so stupid. Yeah, I mean, you think a council has, like, any kind of power over a company like fucking Disney, dude? That's crazy. Fuck Disney. They plugged $1.3 million in the Anaheim elections. They bought out the Anaheim council members. They literally bought land for $1 to build a fucking massive parking lot and refused to pay a gate tax that city council members refused to advocate for. They have the city of Anaheim hostage. Fucking wild. Yeah. Remember what happened when COVID happened? They were more powerful than the governor. They were like, yeah, no, the rest of the fucking state can close down in the beginning of COVID. Before vaccines, before anything, before there was any kind of protection. We're going to keep it open, actually. We're going to force our fucking workers to go to work. How insane is that?
A huge part of the Republican base, who, of course, are going to be helping select the next Republican presidential nominee. DeSantis, of course, is very likely to enter that field soon and become a candidate himself.
Phil Rucker, thanks so much for all of the context there.
Yeah. Let's hear what Legal Eagle had to say about how Disney outsmarted
All
Ron
mom
DeSantis.
and pop business that just made a fool of Ron DeSantis. All they had in their corner was $200 billion in market cap and thousands of the world's best lawyers. But not only did they make a fool of Ron DeSantis, they did it in the most legally hilarious way possible.
Yeah, so it's Florida Governor Ron DeSantis versus Disney in a fight to the death. And they're going head to head in a
Damn, this motherfucker's got 4K.
Up in the swamp, and only one will emerge victorious. And so far, well, it's Disney 1, DeSantis 0. And you'll have to stick around until the end to learn of the hilarious legal way that they actually won this one.
Now, I know what you're asking. Did Legal Eagle come to Disneyland just to film one sight gag? No, I came here for many sight gags.
The trouble all started in March of 2022 when Florida's Republican-dominated legislature passed House Bill 1557, aka the Parental Rights and Education.
I mean, it would be pretty funny if Disney just like basically found, funded, and pushed for a completely blue governor for the state of Florida. Like they found like the most, anti-Cuba Cuban guy who's like a Democratic Party guy who's like maybe gay, you know what I mean? And then they propped him up and they took like the Miami mayor and fucking made him like the governor of Florida, which they kind of have the power to do so. We're talking about a company that has insane amounts of money. They have ungodly amounts of money and ungodly amounts of political capital that they can expend. You know? Democrats would never let that happen. What do you mean? Democrats would absolutely let that happen. They don't give a fuck what happens in Florida. What are you talking about? And it works well for them. But they want deregulation law. You think the Democrats are going to regulate Disney? What are you, crazy? Hello, Disney is in Florida as well, and they run the state here too. They run Anaheim. You think Democrats are going to regulate Disney? What are you, crazy?
Education Act, aka the Don't Say Gay bill. The law bans
The mayor of Miami is a Republican, though. Yeah, like, just who cares? Put him as a Democrat. Make him run as a Democrat or some shit. Disney has the power.
discussion of sexual orientation or gender identity for students in kindergarten through the 3rd grade in Florida public schools to protect, quote, the fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children in a specified manner. And it also requires schools to out students to their parents as gay or trans, meaning that if a child of any age who is struggling with their gender identity comes to a guidance counselor or trusted teacher, the school cannot maintain confidentiality about this discussion and must disclose it to the parent as part of the child's educational record.
Somebody doesn't want to step out of the closet, we open the door for them.
And the bill creates a private right of action for parents to sue schools for violating this statute and recover monetary damages, including legal fees. Now, the law had quite a few vague terms, and when this was being debated in the legislature, State Senator Lori Berman wondered if the obligation to disclose any, quote, change in the student's services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being would require schools to inform parents if a student requested a vegetarian meal for lunch. And the bill's sponsor, State Senator Dennis Baxley, agreed that it would. But if the bill's intent was to banish any mention of LGBTQ people from Florida schools as educators struggle to comply with a vaguely worded law under threat of cripplingly expensive litigation, it's been a rousing success. Teachers in Pasco and Duval County schools were ordered to remove safe space stickers from their classrooms for fear of running afoul of the Don't Say.
It's just like ruthless, cruel, and it serves no purpose other than just like literally fucking over children. It's a perfect Republican bill. You know what I mean? It serves no purpose other than to just be like, yeah, fuck you. You know what I mean? What are you going to do about it?
A gay bill, even rainbows are being removed lest teachers be accused of.
It's not cruel to inform parents of 7-year-olds. Y'all are crazy. It's so silly that you look through this analysis and didn't recognize like how vaguely worded it is and what the legal implications for it have been thus far. It's not about informing that your child got sick at school, dumbass. It's literally making it illegal for teachers to like have photos of themselves and their fucking families or whatever on their on their desks if they happen to be queer. It makes it illegal to be a queer presenting teacher, which is already a vague distinction, okay? And it goes all the way up to 12th grade. Like, it's just completely ridiculous. Especially, like, can you imagine, like, outing fucking children? Like, that's insane. Outing children in an area where they're supposed to be, like, possibly getting some guidance from a mental health professional.
Indoctrinating kids. The Sarasota County School District published a flowchart for staff when a student requests to change their name or pronouns, and unless and until parents give permission, the answer will be no. And Governor DeSantis' then spokesperson, Christina Pushaw, tweeted, if you're against the anti-grooming bill, you are probably a groomer, or at least you don't denounce the grooming of 4 to 8-year-old children.
Like, they're so insane that they think that this rhetoric will stick, and I think that this kind of rhetoric is actually, like, terrifying for normies. Where they think that, like, oh, dude, if you're, like, they keep talking about, like, 4 to 8-year-old children, but it's like you're in this process, you have, like, a 16, 17-year-old, for example, that's, like, gay, and then you just out them to their fucking family of, like, homophobic parents. You know what I mean? Like, you think that that's valid? You think that's a good thing to do? Like, that's insane. That's an insane thing. Hasn't the rhetoric stuck already, though? Fuck no, dude. No. If you think that, like, gays are groomers rhetoric has stuck, you're extremely and permanently fucking online. That's it. Hadi bye bye, Anne. Good luck. Yeah, it's K through 12, first of all. It's not 6-year-olds, so shut the fuck up. And secondly, if you think that, like, the gays are groomers, queers are groomers, trans people are groomers rhetoric is actually captivating, You're just permanently online and have no understanding of how like normal people view this thing. Yes, as far as trans people goes, one subsect of the larger LGBT community, trans people are met with a lot of apathy from the broader majority, but they just don't, like, the broader majority doesn't care. They don't think about them as like, pedophile rapists. If you ask people, I'm sure there is a larger percentage, and this is understandable, of people who recognize the entire institution of the Catholic Church as a more damaging, more anti-child fucking institution than they do about like random fucking gay people, okay? It's just that there is a hyper vocal minority, as is the case with many other Republican issues. There's a very hyper vocal minority of fucking weirdos who are running this narrative, and they think that like it's sticking, but they're just yelling super loud on the internet. That's it. It's not dissimilar. Not that I'm making a moral equivalent, but it's not dissimilar to like pro-trans activism that sometimes centers itself around decentralized boycott movements, like boycotting Harry Potter. Okay. The broader majority of the public doesn't know about this shit, doesn't care about this shit. Maybe we'll see it in the news and get fucking annoyed by it, but that it's not like something that is captivating for the broad majority of the public. I'm not making a moral equivalence between trans people advocating against decentralized against like, Hogwarts, the wizard game, whatever the fuck, but I'm simply talking about the equivalence between how people receive this kind of thing, okay? Most people just don't give a shit. Do you understand? Yeah, unfortunately, gay trans people being groomers thing is absolutely part of the conservative mainstream, even offline. No. It's not. Oh no, she peed off of the fucking, she has a big pee.
Children, silence is complicity. This is how it works, Democrats, and I didn't make the rules. DeSantis himself echoed this language when he signed the bill into law on March 28, 2022 at a private charter school in Tampa.
They support sexualizing kids in kindergarten.
And that, of course, put him on a direct collision course with Florida's largest employer, Disney. Because Florida's Don't Say Gay bill sparked a furious backlash. And the Walt Disney Corporation, which has long positioned itself as an LGBTQ-friendly business, brings in major tourism dollars for Florida's economy. One 2019 study found that the company was responsible for $75.2 billion in annual economic impact for Central Florida, supporting 463,000 jobs and $4.8 billion in state tax revenue. It also contributes millions of dollars in campaign contributions every election cycle.
And yes, before you write it down in the comments, I am fully aware that all this is taking place in Florida at Disney World, not in California at Disneyland, but I didn't want to go to Florida. Have you seen who they've elected there?
And as it became clear that the legislature was actually going to pass the bill, Disney's then CEO Bob Chapek faced intense criticism for not using the company's clout to fight it. His own employees staged walkouts in March of 2022 and set up a website called Where is Chapek to demand action. For his part, Chapek told shareholders he'd been working behind the scenes to fight the bill, and he apologized to Disney's LGBTQ employees, saying, quote, "I missed the mark in this case, but I am an ally you can count on, and I will be an outspoken champion for the protections, visibility, and opportunity you deserve." Chapek's allyship didn't last long, though. He was ousted in November when his predecessor, Bob Iger, came out of retirement and took the job back. On March 28th, when the bill was signed into law, the company finally put out a statement of tepid criticism, suggesting that the law, quote, should never have passed and should never have been signed into law. Quote, "Our goal as a company is for this law to be repealed by the legislature or struck down in the courts, and we remain committed to supporting the national and state organizations working to achieve that. We're dedicated to standing up for the rights and safety of LGBTQ plus members of the Disney family, as well as the LGBTQ plus community in Florida and across the country." At which point Disney found itself in the middle of a Category 5 social media storm, dealing with the backlash to the backlash from the right-wing supporters of the bill itself. And as a result, Governor DeSantis and his allies vowed revenge on Disney for daring to criticize the law. At a press conference on March 29th, DeSantis branded Disney a bunch of, quote, California corporate executives. He said, quote, "I think they crossed the line. We're going to make sure we're fighting back back when people are threatening our parents and threatening our kids.
And here we are at It's a Small World, which is actually the birthplace of Ron DeSantis.
Now, in a fundraising email, he threatened reprisal, tying it explicitly to the company's criticism. Quote, "If Disney wants to pick a fight, they chose the wrong guy. I will not allow a woke corporation based in California to run our state. Disney has gotten away with special deals from the state of Florida for way too long." Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez was even less subtle, likening Disney to the Chinese Communist Party and insisting the company had no right to criticize the government, which is of course not how this works. Or maybe that's exactly how it works in Florida, where the government just made it illegal for teachers to acknowledge their own families and ban drag shows.
Yeah, so California doesn't have those laws. California also doesn't have horrible humidity, so maybe if you're thinking about going to Florida, maybe go California and Disneyland instead.
But the Florida legislature raced back to Tallahassee to figure out some way to stick it to the state's main economic engine. And what they settled on was repealing a special tax zone for the benefit of Disney called the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Now, naturally, they also tried to draw a line between the government action and the company's protected First Amendment speech. For instance, State Senator Spencer Roach tweeted on March 30th, quote, "Yesterday was the second meeting in a week with fellow legislators to discuss a repeal of the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act, which allows Disney to act as its own government. If Disney wants to embrace woke ideology, it seems fitting that they should be regulated by Orange County." So what is the Reedy Creek Improvement Act? Well, that requires us to go back to 1965, when Florida Governor Hayden Burns welcomed a new neighbor to the Sunshine State.
Florida already has many world-famous tourist attractions, and the new Disney complex promises to complement these existing businesses and will greatly increase the magnetism of Florida's dynamic personality.
Now, the Walt Disney Company promised to do for Orlando what it had done for Anaheim, California, with the Disneyland theme park. To incentivize the company to build Walt Disney World, Florida created a special tax district for the 25,000 acres of heretofore worthless swampland the company had bought up in Orange and Osceola counties. And according to Florida's Uniform Special District Accountability Act, a special district means a unit of local government created for a special purpose, as opposed to a general purpose, which has a jurisdiction to operate within a limited geographical boundary and is created by general law, special act, local ordinance, or by rule of the governor or cabinet. So in plain English, a special district is a government-authorized regional body dedicated to a specific purpose, like community development, or fire or rescue, or, this being Florida, mosquito control. And truth be told, special districts aren't really all that special. The state's website lists 1,932 of them at last count, ranging from the Amax Brewer Memorial Law Library to the Zephyrillis Community Redevelopment Agency. But the Reedy Creek Improvement District was pretty special in that it was so wide-ranging. The original 1967 charter gave the Improvement District Board, which was controlled by the Walt Disney Corporation, dozens of powers. The RCID had the authority to build roads and sewage.
Disney World is better public transportation than any American city. I know. That is like the devastating reality, is that the only time you can get like a walkable city is literally Disney. Like the only time you can feel what it's like to live in a walkable city is if you go to a fucking capitalist corporations like company town. That is so terrifying when you think about it. That is so sad. It's so dystopian. Disney World's actually clean, well-kept, good transportation. Like, it's insane. I know. New York. Yeah, we just said clean and adequate public transit. So New York does not actually factor into that consideration. Someone said college towns are pretty walkable. That's true. That's actually another place where you can get like the experience of a walkable city. I mean, you look, this is the United States of America. It's massive. You have Philadelphia that has some level of walkability and also some adequate public transit opportunities. They're not exactly clean necessarily. There's Chicago as well, which is another city that has like decent walkability. But like these are all cities that pale in comparison to like the fucking shittiest European town. You know what I mean? Florida is not walkable at all. Bitch, you think I'm talking about the state of Florida? We're talking about Disney World or Disneyland, whichever one is in Florida.
Systems to contract with neighboring police departments for security, to enact a mosquito control plan, and the law exempted it from virtually all zoning laws. It even gave the RCID the right to collect taxes at triple the rate of any county or city. Essentially, the charter allowed Disney to function as its own independent municipality, an arrangement which worked out well for everyone for some 55 years until the mouse got too big for its britches and started talking back to the governor. So in 2022, after Disney criticized the Don't Say Gay law, Governor DeSantis and his allies decided to kneecap Mickey by revoking the charter of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. His buddies in the state Senate raced back to Tallahassee to enact SB 4, a bill which purported to dissolve the Reedy Creek Improvement District itself. Well, to be more accurate, it dissolved, quote, any independent special district established by a special act prior to the date of ratification of the Florida Constitution on November 5th, 1968, and which was not reestablished, re-ratified, or otherwise reconstituted by special act or general law after November 5th, 1968. But you probably saw this coming. The only district affected by this law would be Reedy Creek. And Orlando land use lawyer Jacob Schumer immediately spotted a huge problem with his plan to stick it to Disney, because a lot of special districts were empowered to issue bonds. But the RCID charter had a special provision wherein the state of Florida pledged not to impair the rights of bondholders until, quote, all such bonds together with interest thereon, and all costs and expenses in connection with any action or proceeding by or on behalf of such holders are fully met and discharged. And so dissolving the Reedy Creek district would cause the bond debt to land squarely in the lap of the local government. And while Disney can easily pay the $58 million annual debt service on the $1 billion worth of bonds, Osceola and Orange counties cannot. But DeSantis vowed to fight on, saying, quote, in the near future, we will propose additional legislation to authorize additional special districts in a manner that ensures transparency and an even playing field under the law. And his spokesperson vowed that no Florida taxpayer would see their rates go up as a result of the governor's mission to punish Disney for standing up for LGBTQ kids. Now, in the event that the legislature passed a substitute statute for SB 4, the bill also
Like, a Republican trying to get more fucking taxes out of Disney is such a laughable concept. Republicans literally forget who they're going up against. You know what I mean? This is like the perfect representation of that. You know how like Republicans could get away? Like Donald Trump could get away with saying like, you know, John McCain is, you know, not a real war hero because he got fucking caught. Like, and people still won't be like, wow, that's really fucked up that you said that. You can do that. You can say like, you know, mega corporations are fucking lame. You can say Jeff Bezos is a socialist, but you're not supposed to actually touch. Oh shit. I don't think I have allergies. I hope it's not allergies. That'd be really sad. Are you allergic to dogs, bro? No, I mean, I wasn't. I had a dog for many, many years, and I've also taken care of a dog for many, many years. I don't think it's an allergy. Everybody shut the fuck up. I hate the back seating. It's like, I hate the fucking back seating. Like killing me. You're not only are you backseating the way I'm being a dad to this puppy, but also you're backseating me like you're my fucking dad and I'm the puppy, dude. They're like backseating my goddamn immune system. Oh, please stop. Anyway, this is the season for allergies, not for dogs, Lamau. Okay. I've never actually had any kind of like serious seasonal allergies, but I am 31, about to be 32 years old, so maybe it's like a late in life type thing that's happening. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying about little Rhonda. Oh, the point is, you can say Jeff Bezos is a socialist all day, every day, but you're not supposed to deregulate Amazon's monopoly on e-commerce, because when you do that, you actually, you know, you lose sight of why you were doing the culture war shit to begin with. The culture war shit is done so you never have to actually deregulate corporations. Stupid. Or so you never have to actually regulate corporations. Sorry. The moment that you actually start hurting a corporation's bottom line is the moment that you lost track of like what you were there to put, you know, why you were put in a position of power.
renamed the Reedy Creek District the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District and created a new board filled with DeSantis appointees. The panel includes several DeSantis donors with strong ties to the Republican Party. For instance, DeSantis also named Bridget Ziegler, a co-founder of Moms for Liberty, a group of self-described joyful warriors in the culture who fight mask mandates and transgender students going to the bathroom. Her husband is co-chair of the Florida GOP, who donated $1.75 million to DeSantis. She's joined on the board by Pastor Ron Perry, who once described homosexuality as evil and shared a conspiracy theory that tap water might be making people gay, basically sending a message that if Disney ever got any bright ideas about speaking up against the governor again, the board would ensure that the company would deeply regret it. Or as DeSantis put it, quote, "When you lose your way, you gotta have people that are going to tell you the truth. All these board members very much would like to see the type of entertainment that all families can appreciate." Jacob Schumer, the lawyer who spotted the bond problem with the first bill, told the Washington Post, quote, "The district is basically exactly the same, but now Disney World will go from being abnormally independent to being abnormally controlled. They still get their special little district with taxes that can pay for lavish roads and luxury projects, but they're no longer pulling the strings." In February, DeSantis signed the new bill into law, congratulating himself for a flawless victory over the woke corporation, but it turned out the mouse still had a couple of tricks up its sleeve. So because DeSantis' people hadn't been paying a lot of attention to the board, they failed to notice the legally mandated notice posted in the Orlando Sentinel on January 27th, advertising a board meeting on February 8th, 2023 in the boardroom of the RCID administration building. At that meeting, the outgoing board members voted to adopt a new declaration of restrictive covenants. And buried in a lot of legalese, the document ceded most of the board's powers to Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, which meant that the new board wouldn't be able to withhold approval for most of the things that Disney wanted to do. Now, it took the incoming board members almost 2 months to work out exactly what had happened. In fact, it wasn't until their second meeting that they realized that they'd been outfoxed by Disney.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe the original problem here is that the state of Florida ceded basically unfettered government-like power to a huge corporation, and now they're reaping the repercussions of that. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good idea. Who knows? I'm just a lawyer.
Ron Perry, the anti-gay water pastor, complained, quote, "I cannot tell you the level of my disappointment in Disney. I thought so much better of them. This essentially makes Disney..."
It's just like, it's so frustrating because like Disney deserves some state regulation. Like they have been asking for it. And it sucks that the only people that are like doing it are doing it in the dumbest way possible with the dumbest motherfuckers possible. And it's like kind of cooking the entire, like it's absolutely eviscerating any kind of like real shot that any, you know, actual leftist leader could have in the future to instill some level of regulation, some level of state regulation against this massive fucking company.
Disney, the government. This board loses, for practical purposes, the majority of its ability to do anything beyond maintain the roads and maintain basic infrastructure. New board member Bridget Ziegler tweeted, quote, "The arrogance of @Disney continues. From ignoring parents and allowing radicals to sexualize our children, to now ignoring Florida taxpayers by sneaking in a last-minute sweetheart development agreement, Disney has once again overplayed their hand in Florida. We won't stand for this, and we won't back down. If unlawful actions were taken, this development agreement will be nullified." For his part, DeSantis vowed revenge. Rest assured, you ain't seen nothing yet. There's more to come in that regard. And the governor immediately dispatched.
What aspect of Disney needs more regulation? Wonderful question. Thank you for asking. One, they should not be able to control all of the fucking land like it's their own personal fiefdom. Two, labor protections should be immediately implemented on every level of Disney employee down to the fucking janitors. You should not have actual fucking Disney employees sleeping in their goddamn cars as they work at Disney for such low pay. Yeah, labor regulations, zoning regulations, safety regulations, environmental regulations, and last but not least, their patent extensions should be eviscerated. I think that is completely ridiculous. Okay, can I ask a question? What's up, Lud? Go ahead. How many 3 points do you think I make out of 10? That's the question you have? But I will fucking train you, okay? I will train you to become a lights out shooter, okay? I think currently 0, maybe 1. I would break up their entertainment. Okay, going back to the thing that I was talking about, I would break up their entertainment monopoly as well. Plenty to talk about here with respect to Disney's wrongdoings, I think.
An army of taxpayer-funded attorneys to attempt to unwind the deal. A statement attributed to 4 separate law firms reads, quote, "The lack of consideration, the delegation of legislative authority to a private corporation, restriction of the board's ability to make legislative decisions, and giving away public rights without compensation for a private purpose, among other issues, warrant the new board's actions and direction to evaluate these overreaching documents and determine how best the new board can protect the public's interest in compliance with Florida law." Then the state's top lawyer, Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody, sent a public records request to the Reedy Creek board members demanding all communications, quote, "discussing an intention or goal of circumventing, avoiding, frustrating, mitigating, or otherwise attempting to avoid the effects of anticipated actions by the Florida governor and the Florida legislature." In the meantime, DeSantis sent a letter to the state's chief inspector general, Melinda Miguel, demanding that she investigate the board for, quote, "collusive and self-dealing arrangements aiming to nullify the recently passed legislation, undercut Florida's legislative process, and defy the will of Floridians. Apparently, he believes that it would be unethical or even criminal for the RCID board members to consult with Disney executives on the RCID contract, despite the company being a party to the RCID contract.
But the counterpoint here is well taken. There are those that argue that Disney is trying to frustrate the democratic process. People elected their leaders in Florida. The leaders in Florida have enacted several laws that seek to revoke the special district that Disney was benefiting. And by trying to frustrate that special district and those laws, Disney is being anti-democratic. And it's hard to argue against that. It's just that it happens to be on a backdrop of potentially protected First Amendment rights and this whole culture war.
New Disney CEO Bob Iger called out DeSantis at a recent Disney shareholder meeting saying, quote, "The governor got very angry about the position Disney took, and it seems like he's decided to retaliate against us, including the naming of a new board to oversee the property and the business. In effect, it seems to punish a company for its exercise of constitutional right. And that just seems really wrong to me." Iger went on to accuse the governor of being anti-business, fighting words in today's GOP. And now we get to the extremely wonky but extremely juicy legal details of how Disney actually pulled this off. Because Disney's lawyers say that everything they did was strictly in accordance with the law. And if they're right, it will be thanks in part to an ancient legal principle which has bedeviled law students for generations. How many generations? Well, a lot. In fact, we have to go all the way back to the 17th century in England to the very real and very much less woke kingdom of Charles I, who reigned until 1649 when he literally lost his head. Literally. But in 1647, Henry Frederick Howard, the Earl of Arundel and Surrey, was faced with a problem. By law, the eldest of his 4 sons was supposed to inherit his estate. Unfortunately, that son, Thomas, was legally insane and incapable of managing the Earl's vast landholdings. Furthermore, it was unlikely, although not impossible, that Thomas would produce a son of his own to inherit the estate. And so the Earl and his esteemed lawyer, Sir Orlando Bridgman, devised a complicated plan to divide the land and accompanying titles among the 4 sons upon the Earl's death. The will took into account multiple contingencies, with clauses shifting assets around at some undetermined future date if Thomas should die without an heir. And furthermore, the Earl liked this crazy contraption so much that his will imposed this plan to rotate assets among multiple future generations. But by 1682, the Earl had died, although not at the guillotine, and his second and third sons, Henry and Charles, were locked in an epic legal dispute which came to be known as the Duke of Gloucester's case. Henry argued that the complex scheme of shifting ownership dictated by his father's will was illegal because it tied up property for too long. And the court agreed, thus creating what became known as the rule against perpetuities, a legal concept so famously complicated that it has been included on every bar exam for decades as a kind of hazing ritual for the legal profession. In essence, the court held that it was bad public policy to allow landowners to lock up property forever, i.e. in perpetuity.
Wow, woke judges, folks. We gotta stop them.
And at the time, England was rapidly transitioning from a feudal society to one based on capitalism and trade, and so it made sense that the court decided that allowing landowners to wall off great swaths of the country's assets from sale would be a hindrance to the new mercantile economy. And this has become a foundational principle of English and American common law. We don't like rules that say things can't be sold, and we really don't like imposing restrictions on land sale or use by future owners. So over the years, this rule against perpetuities has been reduced to a simple axiom. No interest is good unless it must vest, if at all, no later than 21 years after some life and being at the creation of the interest. Okay, so maybe that's not particularly that simple, but in plain interest, the law will not allow you to dictate the ownership of property forever. The best you can do is pick someone who is alive at the time that the document is signed.
God, I fucking hate law so much. Like, Legal Eagle, very handsome boy, very handsome man, does a great job of like covering this stuff, but oh my God, every time I look at these things, I'm like, this is like making me want to fucking die, okay? It's like the fact that Disney is able to, the fact that we don't have any kind of like common sense applied in this circumstance, and you can like utilize a 16th century like legal precedent from a time when like kings existed makes me want to fucking die, dude. I don't know if it's because I'm sick, but you know, no matter how sick I get, I can never be as sick in the head as these fucking freaks. It's just so weird. Kings still exist. Yeah, I meant like in that country. I guess they still do in that country too. They don't really have the same legal jurisdictions that they once had. Disney used the rule against perpetuities, which is defined as the rule against perpetuities stipulates that it will. Okay, see, I can't even read that. Like, just like it fries my brain as I'm trying to fucking read it. You know what I mean? I'm like, legal perpetuities. The only perpetuity is the top of the hour ad break, which comes in perpetuity. Okay, but you have some legal recourse against the top of the hour ad break. You can just subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. All right, that's it. That's all you need to know. You can subscribe. You can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Anti-Materia, thank you for the 10 gifted. HasanAbi's Nibble, thank you for the 5 gifted, allowing 15 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
And peg your instructions to that person's lifespan plus a maximum of 21 years after they die. That person is known
Law
as...
is when manga only weebs fuse with debate lords. Yeah. Sakura Gore, thank you for the 10. Preston 4 to win. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
Quote, life and being, commonly referred to as a measuring life, and that person doesn't have to be a party to the contract. You can make a measuring life Miley Cyrus, or Barack Obama, or your brother's new baby. It doesn't matter. It just has to be someone alive at the time of the contract. All right, so how does this work in practice? Well, let's say that Scrooge McDuck wants to leave his mansion to Huey, Dewey, and Louie. In his will, he writes, I leave my home to my beloved nephews for life, and then to their children when the last of them reaches the age of 25. Now, in theory, Huey, Dewey, and Louie could father children, or ducklings, on the last day of their lives. So this will violates the rule against perpetuities because it exceeds the measuring lives, that's Huey, Dewey, and Louie, by more than 21 years. But change 25 to 21 and say my nephew's lives plus 21 years, and it's probably all good. So what does this have to do with Ron DeSantis trying to burn down Mickey's clubhouse? Well, Florida, like most states, has modified its rule against perpetuities. It's no longer 21 years. In fact, in 2022, the state changed the rule from 360 years to 1,000 years, which is pretty optimistic considering how much of the state's population lives in coastal areas, which could be affected by sea level rise. But Disney and the RCID board...
Do you get a better understanding of why this shit's fucking wild?
Knew that DeSantis and his allies in Tallahassee would be on the hunt for any possible way to void the declaration that strips his appointees of power over the company. Remember, the RCID board and Disney just watched the legislature pass multiple laws aimed directly at them, and they know that he's not above enacting a 17-minute rule against perpetuities that only applies to special districts established in 1967. So to protect the company from that eventuality, they inserted this clause, quote, if the perpetual term of this declaration is deemed to violate the rule against perpetuities or any similar law or rule, this declaration shall continue in effect until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England, living as of the date of this declaration. And you should know, in May, King Charles will be officially inaugurated as King of England. He has 2 sons, 5 grandchildren who are living as of the date of this declaration. So for the purposes of this contract, they are the measuring lives. Prince William's children are Prince George, age 9, Princess Charlotte, age 7, and Prince Louis, who is 4. Prince Harry's children with his wife Meghan Markle, the the Duchess of Sussex are Prince Archie, who is 3, his baby sister, Princess Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor, born June 4th, 2021 in Santa Barbara, California. As the youngest of King Charles's descendants living at the time of this contract, she is statistically the likeliest to be the ultimate measuring life of this contract.
Behind me is the Matterhorn, and the fun bit of trivia is that in order to extend the contractual period even further, Disney has actually purchased the rights to King Charles III. He will be cryogenically frozen so that he will actually never die and be interned in the Matterhorn, so that all of the contractual obligations will go on basically forever.
That's a joke.
So kids, that's how Mickey Mouse...
That's a joke. That's a joke. I have to check that. What? No, that's a joke. Okay, I think my brain is not working because I literally thought maybe it's real. It's a joke. It's a joke. He should have said like that's a joke because he's too serious. He's too serious, and also it's Disney, so like it does feel like it might not be. You know what I mean? I mean, the part about the 1,000-year extension is not a joke. You know what I mean? Which is why, like, the fact that you thought Disney could do that is insane. Bitch, did you not hear the other very real parts about this process where they have, like, extended the rule of perpetuity to, like, thousands of years at this point? That's not a joke. That's what they actually did. That's Disney, bro.
It listed a real-life American princess to protect the fake Magic Kingdom in a real-life battle to protect the First Amendment. Yes, because Floridians love it when you antagonize the state's largest employer.
I have to admit, coming to Disneyland alone as an adult is a very strange experience. The things I do for this channel.
Meanwhile, the new board vows to fake until they make it, passing a resolution restoring their power. But for now, they are pretty much out of a job. And if DeSantis keeps going, the 460,000 people that Disney employs in Florida will be out of a job as well. So they could really benefit from today's sponsor, 80,000 Hours. They're a nonprofit that helps people find impactful and fulfilling careers that aim at solving the So this one is a no-brainer if you're based on what you've learned and high.
Oh.